If you can't tell from my content, I lean right politically. Well, a little. Or I thought I did. I mean, we'll see once the full American political realignment is done in about 5 years where I land. But for now, in America, of the three groups I consistently hate, the woke progressives are the ones with the most power, so that makes me a right-winger until the other groups piss me off more, which will inevitably happen. So whenever Hollywood pumps out some woke prog junk over old IPs, I'm generally against it. And like most right-leaning film fans, when I watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was outraged at the progressive bull in... Never mind. It was okay. Really. I don't hate it. It's not good by any means, but it doesn't suck. Well, no, wait. It does suck, but it doesn't suck because of woke politics like everyone says. So the strong black female lead is doing great, in my opinion. I like her. I'm excited to see how she progresses. Obi-Wan is a diminished version of himself, which is a woke trope, but that makes sense, and he's getting his groove back on his own. I kept waiting for some Princess Leia moment where she encourages him to be himself again, and she's the transition for him to become himself, and it hasn't happened yet. He's doing it on his own. And to be honest, the show is focused on traditional themes of family, and that's what the original Star Wars was based on. So it should be okay, but it's not. It's okay-ish. Sort of. Well, I thought that, at least, until I watched Season 3 of The Boys right after my wife and I finished Kenobi, and holy shit, man, talk about an introduction! I mean, in the first 7 minutes and 23 seconds, we explained a year's worth of character developments without doing an exposition dump, and dynamically and organically changed the relationships and power dynamics between almost every major character in interesting and exciting ways. I mean, even the sometimes over-the-top cringy gore and nudity is being used as a damn framing device. Like, wow, they went all out this season. I should have expected that, though, since the main writer for The Boys worked on Supernatural, which is the best, worst show ever made. The Supernatural had bad acting, bad CGI, terrible homoerotic overtones between characters who are meant to be brothers, but the writing was solid, and the monster lore was well-researched enough to carry an awful show through like 15 years. It's kind of like old Doctor Who. Solid writing and good lore really carries the whole thing. The point is, I don't know why I'm settling for mediocrity like Kenobi in my viewing habits when there's much better stuff out there, which brings me to Fire Amazon. So I have to be honest, I play a lot of Amazon, especially bow builds, and I just don't really know how to feel about this class. I'm on hour 4 of just running maps, and it still kind of confuses me and plays clunky. I'm sure there's a playstyle method to this where you kind of drop Immolation Arrow into a pack and spam the fiery explosion over them with Exploding Arrow, but the whole thing just feels slightly off, kind of like you missed a build order in StarCraft by a few seconds. So anyway, this is mainly, to my knowledge, a D-clone build, which we don't rank here, but it's worth noting. So if you're building it with any other intent, well, other than D-clone, well, we'll talk about that here. So, single target. Again, after 4 hours, I can't really tell if smashing Immolation Arrow into a boss or Exploding Arrow is better, because both are pretty good. I mean, at level 46, you're pumping 10k a shot either way, so it's really all the same. It feels good-ish, kind of, 5 out of 10. I mean, it's good damage, but it's still fire damage, even with a couple facets in it. It doesn't pump like it should. AoE, I feel like this should be a lot better too, if I wasn't clunking around on it. I mean, you have 3 separate skills for each situation. Maybe I'm just too many beers in, or I don't know, but having a quick shot spread with Fire Arrow, you got a decent pop with Explosive Arrow, and a nice little Immolation Arrow to put things into hit recovery and position a bit. I mean, that said, if there's no fire immunes, it clears pretty quick, and I'm not having the same mana issues that other guides described. 7 out of 10 on AoE. And by the way, if you're looking for how I built this, I just used Chug That Estes' guide. Go to his channel and drop him a sub. Safety. Well, this is a bit painful. I mean, your res is just low. Though I'm not using Chains of Honor just so I can have a little bit more mana per kill, which is maybe why I'm not having the mana per kill issues. So I guess the safety is really based on your own personal preferences, but that said, you do lack the freezing ability of Cold Zahn, you lack the Valks of Summon Zahn, you have no physical leech. I mean, hell, you don't even have points to drop into evade skills because of how synergies work for Fire Arrow. You gotta max the entire fire line plus Magic Arrow. I mean, you're still ranged, but goddamn, you're a glass cannon like multi-shot with no leech. Yeah, it's 2 out of 10. It's kind of painful. So, Ubers, I can't find a thing. on Fire Amazon for Ubers. Now, I know in the past I've based it off predictions, like, well, I've run Poison Nova on Ubers, so I can figure out how Desecrate works, something like that. That's a bad example, but you know what I mean. The point is, though, I assume if people built this class, they built it for declone most likely. And if those top tier players didn't even record bringing into Ubers, it's kind of like, how good can it be? I mean, you mostly do fire damage, though I suppose in theory you could deal with the fire immunes using Magic Arrow, which you likely maxed, but the damage isn't that great. And even then, you have no Volks, bad resists, which, again, can be fixed, but you've got no ability to slow anything down either. It's just, with all that said, it's just, you probably built a class that specializes in killing bosses like Declone, so I think you should have enough damage if you're quick enough to do this, but I think there's going to be a huge divide here. I think we're going to skip ranking this, because if you're an average player saying, hey, can I build fire to go do Ubers, I don't think you can do it. I think it's going to be too hard. But if you're a Declone killer who's built this to kill Declone and you wanted to bring it into Ubers, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do it if you can do Declone. So we're going to give this a null out of 10 and skip Ubers for this one. I think it's just too weird and clunky to predict with the wide variety of skill gaps here. So playstyle-ese. Again, the word of the day is clunky. I mean, I can't put my finger on what's wrong here. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea, but you have a decent array of skills for different situations. The fast fire arrow spread on fire arrow is really cool for a shotgun spray. I don't mean fire arrow shotgun. Shut up. It's just a term. Everything has a purpose, and God, what? Can you tell what my problem is with this build? It's just odd and clunky, and I don't know what to do with it. It has okay usage, and the damage is there, but no utility, no leech. It's just 4 out of 10. It's not... It feels off. I can't put my finger on it. It feels off, man. Gearing ease. Well, this is at least the easiest section to think about, because it's skillers, and who uses skillers except for you and Coldzon. You got a great budget option in the Kaku Shakulalam. The Kupibara, the purple one, the purple fire skill arrow. It's a great budget option, and it might be your endgame bow anyway, just because of the plus skills damnation arrow. I know you'd probably want to bring that for Declone, but you can use Q Hagens until you get a COH if you're planning to go all out. You can even use Shaco as a budget option. You can use Lysanders until you find a better bow. I mean, it should be easy to gear up early. It should be easy to gear up late for Declone. I mean, even fire facets are cheap compared to, say, like lightning. So 9 out of 10 on gearing ease. It should be pretty simple. So yeah, it's a 5.4 to 10, and we didn't score Ubers. I mean, the class is just meh, and I think even the 5.4 might be a little high. I mean, I'm only doing this because someone requested it. This is a Declone build, and we're kind of looking at it like a regular mapper. It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi of builds. It sucks, but it doesn't suck inherently. And I guess a little love or change to the skills would be great, but you suffer from the same problem as Coldzon. I mean, do I want IS frames or Infinity on my Merc? But you don't get the Coldzon freeze. I have a cool, powerful kind of multi-shot skill, like multi-shot, but you have no leech. You're a glass cannon like multi-shot, but you don't get the option of specking Volks or Evade to deal with that. The only question I have after doing this for a few hours is, why do I want to play the Obi-Wan Kenobi of builds when the boys' Season 3 of builds for Boazon are sitting there in prime form? See you guys later.